And so you there you see it's true. This man bears no more guilt than you. I'm sure you weren't expecting that in the prime time at 6 o'clock on Right Side Broadcasting Network, but a joy to be with you. I'm Robert McNeely as we await President Trump and Vice President Vance to enjoy the best of musicals Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center. A great story about the French Revolution, and we know that dialogue and debate way back in the 17th and 18th centuries, whether you're a philosophical lover of John Locke or Mr. Rousseau, Locke, of course, inspired the American Revolution. The French Revolution soon followed after that. In many ways, both men were diametrically opposed, but this is a story that wraps up into a great time-tested tribute to the validity, the resilience, and independence of individuals seeking liberty. And I'm sure it will be a beautiful performance tonight at the Kennedy Center, which has a new chairman, President Donald Trump. And I'm sure the big, beautiful renovations will be fantastic in the coming weeks and months as we see a beautiful sunset over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Not so beautiful, sadly, on the West Coast in Los Angeles, where Governor Newsom and his communist counterpart, Mayor Bass, simply have helped destroy the city with years and years, decades of so-called fascist leadership. They are communist, quite frankly. There's no mincing words here on the right side of history, and the mistakes that they have made have led to where we are right now. But as President Trump has mentioned, he is in his constitutional purview and legal rights to have sent the National Guard into place, Marines and Army, to help state and local authorities to stop the anarchists, to stop the paid rioters, those carrying Mexican flags. What other country would put up with this? Only the United States. And our thoughts and prayers are with those Angelenos who have to put up with this intolerant, pathetic leadership of the far left. And we've seen how the demon rats have been mobilized from Chicago to New Orleans, from New York City all the way to Los Angeles. Their so-called leadership releasing statements blaming President Trump for this, somehow connecting this to January 6th, when we know President Trump authorized National Guard troops to assist way back on January 4th. And Kash Patel, now the FBI director, was in the Oval Office when that happened. It was the mayor of Washington, D.C. It was then Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, who had to sign off on that authorization. They did not do that. And many people, sadly, did not have their Sixth Amendment rights, their due process, granted by being put in these political prisons for months and months and months without a speedy trial. Many of them free now. Many of them have been giving those pardons by President Trump, and rightfully so. As we look to some of the positive that's happened with this administration, working day in and day out for you, the good people, the one big beautiful bill will supercharge our economy. Today's inflation report brought more welcome news that prices are going down and wages are going up, and that progress will be supercharged with President Donald J. Trump's one big beautiful bill. Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent told Congress, meanwhile listening again to demon rat questions that seek to push and agitate, but the good secretary focused on the future. The largest tax cut in American history will boost that progress for middle-class Americans and private sector without fueling inflation. The one big beautiful bill will raise take-home pay between $7,800 and $13,300 for the average family of four. It will increase wages between $6,100 to $11,600 for the average American worker. Not only does the one big beautiful bill add $500 to the child tax credit, it makes it permanent. This is also in addition to those big beautiful accounts that parents can now put in tax-free. Their children, starting at $1,000, can add to that. And that will come without added regulation, without added taxes, all putting them on a good footing so they can live that American dream. This also cements the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, and no tax cuts for seniors. The one big beautiful bill will make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. This will provide individuals and businesses with certainty and build up economic momentum for the American people. This legislation will also provide 100% expensing for new factories, as well as existing factories that expand operations and support Made in America. This legislation will also provide the ability to buy a new American-made car and deduct the interest. Very good for our UAW, very good for those in car sales and in the car industry, especially throughout the Southeast. This bill will also allow the United States to prevent our corporate revenues from being drained into foreign treasury, something we've seen in the past, and that is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. If the one big beautiful bill does not pass, it will be catastrophic for the American economy. In fact, cataclysmic to those looking to save money, especially those in the middle class. It would be the largest tax hike in history. It would be a disaster for businesses and for working Americans alike, and for our status in the world. We would see increases in taxes of thousands upon thousands of dollars on working Americans, and they don't need this right now as this new economy is being built in a golden era. We would see substantial increases in the unemployment rate as a result. So we will work towards getting that done, and hopefully the Senate is working on that. Must be nice to be a member of Congress with all of those breaks and then to complain that they're working so hard year-round when you literally are maybe working around 8 months and getting paid quite handsomely. Let's get to work, and Republican voters, in fact, voters across the entire country, will remember this mandate, and if Congress doesn't follow through with it, there will be hell to pay peacefully and patriotically at the ballot box. So we hate to see when those hard-working congressmen lose their jobs, but it's time to really work for the American people and the mandate they put into place on November 5th of last year to make America great again. It starts with this one big, beautiful bill. Now, America's job creators back the one big, beautiful bill. Small business owners say taxes are their biggest worry right now, but help is on the way. In fact, small business owners overwhelmingly back the historic tax relief in President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. This is according to new polling. By a 4-to-1 margin, small business owners support extending the tax cuts made by the Trump administration in the first term, and that's by passing the one big, beautiful bill. 71% of small businesses support maintaining and expanding the small businesses and the tax deduction, which the one big, beautiful bill does. And as we talk economics today, before this beautiful presentation of Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center, I'd like to thank our sponsors here on the right side of history. President Trump working hard, signing executive orders, specifically one that goes after Big Pharma because of the rates and the costs they put on you, the American people. But All Family Pharmacy is an online pharmacy protecting you to get you that access to hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, ivermectin, life-saving medications. In fact, over 200 to get into your medicine cabinet in case there's any kind of emergency. And we've seen over the course of the last few months with natural disasters and storms, you don't want to be left unprepared in 2025. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Scan the QR code there and type in code RSBN20. Now through June 30th, get 20% off prescription medications and emergency medical kits, antibiotics, and if there's no insurance, there's no hassle. These doctors at All Family Pharmacy take your prescriptions and can get that to your door online overnight and shipped directly to you. So no hassle, no headaches. Now imagine this for a second. Your spouse runs out of blood pressure medication and that tornado comes through. Or you're living in Florida and the hurricane hits and there's no way to get to your pharmacy. Or your child is spiking a fever at 104 or, God forbid, 105, and you can't get that life-saving medication in time. There's no excuse not to be unprepared for the disasters that might hit your doorstep. So All Family Pharmacy is there for you. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history as we're enjoying Theater Night in America, brought to you by RSBN Live in the prime time for your viewing pleasure as we await President Trump and Vice President Vance to attend Les Mis, a classic musical about the French Revolution. It's one, if you have not seen, you should go and see it. And it's been done on film a couple of times. 1994's starring the great Liam Neeson, a great actor. Also in 2012, the live action version that actually recorded those songs live. You have great actors like Anne Hathaway and also the X-Men star himself, Mr. Wolverine. And for some reason, his name is escaping me at the moment, Hugh Jackman, a great actor, a great Australian-American actor who has showcased his talents on stage from Broadway to the Hollywood screen. Well, President Trump will enjoy that same story tonight, and there is a red carpet there. People have been coming in, the VIPs, to enjoy this at the Kennedy Center as we celebrate and really bring back our arts. And we see there the gentleman aptly named for his uncle, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is in attendance with his beautiful wife. And also, I think we caught Attorney General Pam Bondi there with her husband as well. So it should be a star-studded event on the red carpet this evening. And I love how President Trump is reclaiming arts and culture, something that the left tried to steal. But conservatives love this kind of stuff. This was my passion dating back all the way to my early years of the arts and enjoying being things in like choir and also in musicals as well. There's nothing quite like it. In fact, I got to be honest with you, we're all about transparency here at the network. I joined choir way back when because I thought the odds would be better for winning a date with my fellow classmates because you had a lot more girls in choir at the time than the guys. But I stand here before you still single. So it's a little bit of a fun note there for you. But that led to a career endeavor that I thought was simply just a hobby and led to a number of different opportunities for me, stage, screen, and television. And perhaps one of the reasons I'm standing here before you today, that theater training that led to a number of different opportunities in many different fields. So it's fun that President Trump is revitalizing this great Kennedy Center for your viewing pleasure. And Les Mis, a great way to start off the celebration as we talk about the one big beautiful bill, something on the mind of many in Washington, D.C. as they enjoy this wonderful evening at the theater. 71% of small businesses support maintaining and expanding the small business tax deduction, which the one big beautiful bill does. And also 70% of small businesses say they're likely to expand or invest, reinvesting in their businesses thanks to this legislation, boosting worker wages or benefits, hiring more employees in the process, or even increasing charitable giving in the Trump tax cuts if they are extended. And now we have some staff exiting the White House. Maybe we'll catch a glimpse of President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump to attend this evening's festivities as they'll be exiting the South Lawn, a beautiful spot in the White House. It's a reception area right there as well. That is quite nice to welcome foreign dignitaries. 64% of small businesses say they are likely to delay expansion to also get a loan and reduce inventory by reducing employees or reducing hours or wages if the Trump tax cuts expire. So this could have a major effect on the economy if this one big beautiful bill does not pass. And you have to ask yourself, why was it 215 to 214? It was only Republicans. Of course, a couple of fame-seeking Republicans joined demon rats to vote against this one big, beautiful bill, but only someone like House Speaker Mike Johnson could get that together in the House with such a slim majority using reconciliation. 215 to 214. Think about that. Now it sits in the Senate to be negotiated and, God willing, on President Trump's desk by the 4th of July. Now, 63% of small businesses say no tax on tips and no tax on overtime will make it easier to hire workers. A big promise coming from Arizona. When we were on the campaign trail, I remember that great event in Tucson where President Trump made those announcements of the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on senior citizens' benefits. Now, what are people saying about it out there? The Las Vegas Review-Journal says the one big, beautiful bill will bolster small businesses. While there are numerous provisions in this bill that would support America's small businesses, the update to Section 199A, the qualified business income deduction, would allow small businesses to thrive in that process. This deduction is crucial for small businesses, allowing owners to deduct qualified business income. For many small businesses, this deduction would enable them to remain afloat despite challenging market conditions. Now, also, Trump's big, beautiful bill offers a big tax win for small businesses. Among its many provisions are an increased tax deduction for qualified business income at pass-through companies, a higher deduction for state and local taxes, and the extension of various other corporate and individual tax cuts that the President Trump tax cuts passed during the first term provided for these good, hardworking people. These would otherwise set to expire at the end of the year. The total tax cuts include in the bill the estimated around $4 trillion. So lots of money there. As we get a live look now at Vice President Vance, perhaps we could go there live to see him with our beautiful Second Lady Usha Vance to see if he'll make any comments.
We're excited. I've been told lately this is great. I've never seen it before, so I'm excited about it. No, when you sign up for national office, it's one of the things to sign up for. There was some boos, there were some cheers, and I'm sure we'll probably have a little bit of both today.
I'm looking forward to it. How are you going on the board? It's been a good experience so far.
All right. I'm going to keep talking to you for a moment while he is up there. President Trump's going to be arriving imminently along with the First Lady.
Which one?
This is
I've
going
had
to be
many
his
calls.
first show in the audience at the Kennedy Center since becoming chairman. He's been here, I learned.
I sure can, Blake, and you know, Blake, you don't usually cover red carpets. I've been covering red carpets for almost 20 years. I have yet to be interrupted by the vice president on a red carpet. He's right behind me now giving some remarks, so I'll try not to speak too loudly to be interrupting him. He's one of many VIP guests here attending as the first major production to premiere here at the Kennedy Center amid President Trump's takeover. He booted out the Democratic members of the board, installs himself as chairman. Vice President Vance, one of the first guests to arrive here for this production of Les Mis.
And we're willing to do what's necessary to ensure that doesn't happen. Of course, we're in the middle of the negotiating process. Our hope is that negotiating process ends successfully. If it doesn't, we're going to have to figure out what to do. The president said very clearly, one is that Elon says some unacceptable things. I think the president is rightfully very frustrated about that. But he also wishes Elon well and has no desire to be in some long-term feud with Elon Musk.
Well, to steal a line from Les Mis, President Trump dreamed a dream of wiping out woke, and this seems to be part of that effort. He said he wants to rid wokeness from society. He accused the Kennedy Center of being too woke in his words. So this is one step part of that effort to reimagine the arts in what he considers the acceptable version of the arts. And I think that was part of it. I think also, I'm sorry, I'm just making sure the Vice President is not coming up behind me to ask him a question. I think also part of it is, this culture.
Early on in the Doge process, and I'll let the President speak to what kind of relationship they're going to have in the future. My job is to implement the President's agenda.
Thank you.
And make sure that we do everything that we can.
Yeah, thank you. It's like that thing that you do at a fancy party where you're always
keep on doing that. And I'm sure it's going to rely
so
on
I
a lot
apologize, Blake. I'm not trying to ignore you. But I do think that it's part of this culture war where President Trump has seized center stage. He's the leading
on
character
Friday,
in this culture war that he has waged. The Kennedy Center takeover is unprecedented and not without backlash.
So, again, I mean, the last 4 months of my life, I've probably had 100 phone calls with Elon Musk and Susie Wiles, so it's hard to place these things. But yeah, look, I've spoken to Elon and the President about trying to ensure that Elon is publicly supporting and privately supporting the President's agenda. I'll keep on doing that.
Yeah, there's been talk of maybe renaming the Kennedy Center after the President. We'll certainly ask him about that when he takes the red carpet. And I just want to point out the unprecedented nature.
I don't know which artist said that, but it's not a hostile takeover. He's the President of the United States, and this is the great
as I mentioned, I
of the nation's
covered
capital. It's right that the President's had such a role.
And this one has a different feel. One thing that Rick Carter himself was kind of on steroids. It's more massive than any previous event that I've covered here.
And then power actually having the President on the side of the Kennedy Center. I think it's going to be a great night. And it's Thank you all. Have a good night.
That's it. Sorry, guys. That's it. No more questions. Thank you. Sorry, guys. That's it. Thank you.
How you doing?
We're here to make the arch great again.
I'm sorry?
We're here to make the arch great
That's
again.
right, man. Good to see you. Look, it's going to be a great night. We're going to have a great time. And I've never seen Les Mis, but we're excited about it. I know the President's excited about it, too.
You guys look stunning. I got to ask you, did you ever go to plays as a kid growing up?
Not a big play guy as a kid growing up. It's not a common experience for me and my family, but it's one of the great things about America is here I am as the Vice President of the United States, seeing this great performance under the leadership of the President and Ambassador Grinnell. I'm excited about it.
Second lady, did you grow up seeing some plays as well?
I did, yes.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
this is an experience that we should get.
She's more of a fan of the performing arts than I have, but it's something that, as all husbands learn, when your wife really likes something, you learn to like it too. So,
Thank you.
Take care.
Very, very excited to be here tonight and to be here for Les Mis. So thank you all. Have a great night. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Madam Attorney General, one question from Newsmax, please.
Good to see you all. Thank you.
I don't know why there's no audio for it. It was too far for me, even if I stuck it out. Honestly, you wouldn't have gotten anything.
Hi, yes. I was, thank you.
Yeah, but I will try my best.
Secretary, can you give us a sense of why you changed out this committee on vaccine?
You have the
Congress invested this for a long time coming. Congress investigated the case in 2002. Found that 4 or 5 people who had the coronavirus vaccine scheduled had direct financial interest in the vaccine. One of those people loaded the vaccine onto the schedule, then sold his product for $186 million. He said there was no lottery. That congressional committee found that 97% of the people in that committee had undisclosed financial entanglements with the companies whose products they were approving. We want Americans to know that the people on that committee are looking only at public health and don't have financial interests in products that they're recommending.
Can you see someone?
December reinstated today, about 450 plus CDC employees who got their jobs back. Can you explain why you're reinstated?
How's the Kennedy family feel?
Sir, how does it feel to be a Kennedy here?
Excuse me?
Are you making any progress, sir, on baby
We're making lots of progress. We had a panel last week at FDA We're going to make sure that every mother in America knows that her baby formula is the highest quality that you can possibly get, and that her children are safe, and that we have lots of it so that there's no shortages.
Mr. Secretary, I have a follow-up.
Mr. Secretary, are you excited for the new era of the Kennedy Center under the great new leadership of President Trump and Ambassador Brunel?
You know, my uncle wanted to make our country the cultural hub of the world. And that's why he had Pablo Gonzalez come to the White House. He had Robert Frost at his inauguration. He appointed Edward L. Murrow to run the USIA because he wanted to project American culture around the world, but also bring the best of American culture here to our country. My uncle always said that nobody remembered the Greeks for the battles they ran. They remembered them because of the architecture, the sculpture, the art, the music, the literature, the poetry, the poems that they had, and the plays that they left behind. And that a civilization ultimately is judged based upon its culture and its art. I wanted to make sure that American civilization would be judged by that and remembered by that. And President Trump shares that vision and wants to restore this institution to a cultural archetype for the whole world.
Mr. Secretary, what would you think if they renamed it the Trump Kennedy Center?
Just want to get you guys' thoughts on being here tonight. Very historical night here.
We're really, really happy to be here. My uncle was committed to art, literature, music, and poetry. He wanted to make our country the apex of culture around the world. He invited Pablo Gonzalez to the White House and Robert Frost read a poem at his inauguration. He had these wonderful seminars at the White House for art, literature, and music and poetry.
You gotta look at
Yes, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
that sell out. We're sold out tonight. We'll be sold out several nights. The capacity for
1, 2, 3,
coming to see
4,
big shows
5,
like Les Mis is pretty
6,
amazing. So we're
7,
going to continue doing things like
8,
Les Mis. We've
9,
got West Side
10.
Story coming. We've got some of the bigger stuff.
Real quick, what do you make of some of the actors who may be boycotting tonight? It's being reported.
I'm so sorry. Could you say that one
Who
more time?
reported that?
CNN, Washington Post.
That was a long time ago.
So you're
Watch what happens, and if it doesn't, let's make sure that we get some corrections on that. Okay?
Yeah. Ambassador Brunel,
Yeah.
what are you most excited for in the next few years under your great leadership with President Trump?
Well, look, I think we got to turn this place into a place that celebrates the arts, that has all sorts of different genres here, and that we do it in a financially acceptable way.
Mr. Messer, what would you say to Democrats who might not want to come to the Kennedy Center because President Trump is in charge?
I think you should be tolerant. Thank you. All right.
Good. Hey, we're making the words.
Nice. Well done.
Mr. President, why are U.S. dependents being authorized to leave the Middle East? Say it. Why are U.S. dependents of military personnel being authorized to leave the Middle East? I have to say thank you.
Great commentary from some of the finest in our beautiful big cabinet of ours, and of course Secretary Kennedy with his beautiful wife, actress Cheryl Hines. You might remember from Curb Your Enthusiasm. She had a great role on that show, as well as Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is accompanied by the dashing, the daring John Wakefield, and Rick Grenell in attendance as well. Of course, the Vice President and our lovely Second Lady addressing questions there. And hopefully you got some of the commentary right there. This is live TV, and with the pool camera, sometimes other reporters cut in and out, so sometimes their live reporting might have caught over that question or two. But we hope you're enjoying the red carpet as President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump en route to the Kennedy Center. Thank you to our sponsors on the right side of history. Colonial Metals Group. Protect your IRA or 401k with gold, 100% tax-free. In addition to silver, these tangible metals that will make a huge difference for you. Now, I know crypto is exciting, and you might have properties and assets ready to go for your financial future, but nothing is more secure than gold and silver. And as Secretary Kennedy was mentioning about Greek civilization, about poetry, about music, about the civilization's culture and what a country is ultimately judged on, just like those great tangible items, gold and silver are there for you in those questionable times about saving for a retirement or even just having the financial backing to protect what you've worked hard for. So scan that QR code now or go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN to receive your free 2025 gold guide. Great patriots like Judge Jeanine Pirro endorse this group, and so do we here on the network. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. Colonial Metals Group, your go-to to shield your savings today. Thank you for all you do to protect the American people as we dive into those things that matter most in this day and age. And the only way you can get that good night's rest in order to make these tough decisions, mypillow.com/RSBN. It's your go-to with the exclusive special. Free with any purchase now, multi-use MyPillow 2.0 and USA Revival Roll and Go cover only $39.98. A great value. Call today. Do not delay, because let's honor the good old US of A. 800-836-7566. Support Mike Lindell and RSBN by shopping now at mypillow.com/RSBN. With code RSBN, an easy go-to to remember. He's the master marketer. He is the purveyor of freedom of speech and defender of election integrity. Mike Lindell, thank you for sponsoring us with mypillow.com/RSBN on the right side of history. We are diving into the One Big Beautiful Bill, and the National Federation of Independent Businesses, NFIB, supports the One Big Beautiful Bill in its endeavor because it's the most pro-small business legislation in recent history. The bill, in fact, prevents a massive tax hike on over 33 million small business owners while also providing a tax cut for most small business owners. So this is something that the Senate should maybe pay attention to over the course of the next few weeks here, as President Trump would like to sign the One Big Beautiful Bill come the 4th of July. But we'll see what happens there, as it has now passed the House of Representatives through reconciliation by a 215 to 214 vote. And we'll see how the rest of that works out. While that's all happening in Washington, D.C., we know the insanity of Los Angeles. President Trump again saving the day, using his constitutional authority to send in the military, while you have whack jobs like Maxine Waters screaming at our National Guard, saying, "Don't shoot us," and making outrageous claims that they're removing American citizens. Nothing could be further from the truth. And God be with our great local Los Angeles Police Department, doing an amazing job. The California State Patrols, ICE, also our military now on the ground to protect Angelenos. If they weren't on the ground, as President Trump said, this would have been a meltdown, absolute nightmare for Los Angeles at large, and also boiling into Orange County as well. So our thoughts and prayers with those facing this issue. If you want to take a visit over to RealGov Newsom 40, the handle at Truth Social for Governor Newsom, just scroll through his Truth Social because I give him a lot of credit. I actually helped get him onto Truth Social when I worked there way back when, but he took it upon himself to get onto that platform. But here's the thing. If you go back a few months, he was ready, willing, and able to help and thank President Trump for all the help that this president, this administration gave to the wildfires in Southern California, wanting to partner up and saying that he respected the office. Now he's spinning that truth. Now he's presenting his own set of facts and claiming that President Trump has lied. Nothing could be further from the truth. The fact is, Mr. Newsom, that you would rather put your presidential ambitions ahead of your constituency. You'd rather invoke communist principles and values in the Golden State, a once reservoir and haven for those in the middle class who wanted to make a better life for themselves. You've destroyed such a beautiful state, and it's shameful, and this should be the last office you ever hold, including that ridiculous mayor, Karen Bass, the communist in her own right. I'm praying every day for California. I hope you join me in that endeavor because it is such a beautiful place, and hopefully we can make California America again, and starting in 2026 with those elections. But in case you missed it, for the first time in decades, the U.S.-Mexico border is truly silent. Thank you to our brave Border Patrol, DHS, and all of the agents who have secured the southern border across the entire span of the U.S.-Mexico border. The Arizona Republic recently reporting that the change is stark, and it happened nearly overnight, where Border Patrol agents encountered well over 100,000 migrants and asylum seekers every month. Just 1 year ago, they are now seeing fewer than 10,000 crossing. More than 4 months into President Trump's second term, one of his signature campaign promises, shutting down the flow of migrants across the border, seems fulfilled. And reporters with the USA Today network traveled to 15 different sites along the border from the Pacific to the Gulf of America, from California to Arizona and the Lone Star State of Texas, and found much of the same situation in each. Few migrants were attempting to cross. Once bustling shelters for migrants were ghost towns. Local officials expressed relief for no longer having to assist with the floods of people. And if you remember, when we were on the campaign trail, we'd see this day after day. We'd see the screens in the stadiums and auditoriums where President Trump would be presenting to sellout crowds, just talking about the big issue at the time, Otto Penn's inability and, quite frankly, his willingness to open the border for these migrants who came here illegally. And we're trafficking human beings. We're bringing about deadly fentanyl, killing people not only on the border, but throughout our communities in this great nation, whether you live in a big city or a small town, in suburban America or rural America. Regardless, people finding horrible situations because of what took place there. As we get a live shot of that red carpet, the Vice President and our Second Lady, Usha Vance, are in the building along with many other members of the cabinet. We are awaiting President Trump and our wonderful First Lady, Melania Trump, to grace the red carpet of the Kennedy Center, and I'm sure we'll answer some questions from the press tonight. But as the border itself has gone quiet, President Trump maintains that it remains in a state of crisis. While touting the success of his efforts, the recently passed spending bill by the United States House of Representatives includes $150 billion in new money for immigration enforcement, including The tens of billions for wall construction and facilities along the border, along with the tens of billions more for deportation efforts. Let's toss it there live now to the President and the First Lady on the red carpet.
There are a number of donors who are stepping forward to pitch in and make a difference. Are under
Just heard over $10 billion tonight to the center itself. We want to bring it back and bring it back better than ever. As you know, it needs a little help from the standpoint of age and fitness, but it's going to be fantastic. Are you feeling any better than you I really am. No, I love Clinton. We've said it many times. We love it. One of my favorites. Well, let's not talk about that. It's a very serious subject.
Mr. President, can you come to the pool camera, sir?
I believe so. As far as I know, yes.
Mr. President, Corey Lewandowski says that you love women. Is it true?
Say it. We'll see what happens.
Mr. President.
We're going to compete with a lot of people. I look forward to it. Say it.
Mr. President, is there more concerns that
Oh, I would say every one of them is just great. It's truly great, great talent, and this is a great production tonight. First time.
Mr. President, can you tell us about the reception?
Well, we're going to save the Kennedy Center. We're going to make it incredible. We have all the funding. We raised a lot tonight. We'll put in a lot of money to bring it back to the highest level, higher than it was ever before. It's got great sound. You know, the bones are very good. The sound is great. You'll see that tonight. But we look forward to doing a real job.
Mr. President.
It's a great honor, actually, to be chairman. They asked me to be chairman. That's a great. I have a lot of other things going, I will tell you, but it's a great honor to be chairman.
Mr. President, what would you say? A question from Newsmax.
I hope you got a good one. She's got a good one. I bet she does.
Mr. President, what would you say to Democrats who don't want to come here because you're in charge?
Well, if they need it, we're going to be there, absolutely. If we weren't there, if we didn't bring in the National Guard and the Marines, you would probably have a city that was burning to the ground, just like it was a number of months ago with the housing. You would have had a big problem there. We weren't there. In fact, the police chief said so much. If you look at what his statements were, he said, we're very lucky to have had that. If we weren't there, that city would have been burning to the ground, would be burning right now.
Mr. President, what do you think of actors who are thinking about boycotting tonight?
Of unrest, what are you prepared to do, sir?
About what?
If this turns, well, the protests have spread down to 16 cities across the U.S.
Well, I don't know. That's what you're saying. Do I believe you? I don't think so.
Well, I got that.
I can tell you that what we have is a situation in Los Angeles that was caused by gross incompetence. They didn't have the police to handle it. The police were asking us to come in. They were very late. We had to go in to save a lot of ICE officers, as you know, who were held up. They were holed up in a building, and they were being attacked. And the military went in, the National Guard went in and got them. The police weren't able, unfortunately, to move fast enough, but we moved fast enough. And while we were there, we stayed there, and we stopped tremendous destruction and death. We stopped death. We stopped a lot. And if you look at them cutting up and breaking up the sidewalk and getting it and using it as a weapon, did you see that with the curb? Where they're breaking up the curb, nice curb, and they break it up with a hammer because they couldn't get the bricks in. You know, they got caught with the bricks. We have them under arrest. They were bringing bricks in to throw at our police, to throw at our National Guard, and to throw at people. And they couldn't get them in because we got them. And after we got them, they went and took a big hammer and started breaking up the concrete sidewalk and curb. And they were handing it out to people to throw and drop on cars. You saw what they did, the damage. So if you don't do something about that, there's something very wrong. We are going to have law and order in our country. Thank you.
Boycotting tonight.
Who is?
It's been reported that some actors may be boycotting tonight.
I couldn't care less, honestly. All I do is run the country well.
The economic numbers, you saw them today, they're setting records. We took $88 billion in tariffs in 2 months, far beyond what anybody expected. There's no inflation. People are happy. People are wealthy. The country's getting back to strength again. That's what I care about. And we're going to have a safe country. We're not going to have what would have happened in Los Angeles. Remember, if I wasn't there, if I didn't act quickly on that, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground right now. Thank you.
Could you provide an update on Iran?
How excited are you for the new era under your great new leadership with Ambassador Brunel?
Well, he's a great guy. Rick is great. He's always done well for me. And the new era right here is going to be something. The bones of this facility are incredible. We're going to make it really great.
How excited are you for favorite show?
Tonight's going to be great.
How excited are you? What would you say to Democrats who don't want to come because you're in charge?
Say it again.
Yes, a question from Newsmax. Could you provide an update on Iran? We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are being. We've given notice to move out. We'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
Have you seen the musical before, and do you identify more with Jean Valjean or?
Oh, that's a tough one. That last part of that question, that's tough. I think you better answer that one, honey. I don't know. I've seen it. We've seen it a number of times. It's fantastic. I thought it was just about our first choice, and that's what we got. And we have others coming. Other great ones are coming. Why are you so quiet, Jeff?
My question is on trade. Would you be willing to extend the deadline for trade talks with these countries?
I would, but I don't think we're going to have that necessity. We made a great deal with China. We're very happy with it. We have everything we need, and we're going to do very well with it, and hopefully they are too. That was a very big one. As you know, we did with the UK, and I tell you what, we're rocking in terms of deals. Now, at a certain point, we're just going to send letters out, and I think you understand that, saying this is the deal. You can take it or you can leave it. You don't have to use it. You don't have to shop in the United States, as I say. So at a certain point, we'll do that. We're not quite ready. We're dealing with quite a few countries, and they all want to make a deal with us, every one of them.
Who's next? Who are you expecting to get a deal with next?
Well, we're dealing with Japan. We're dealing with South Korea. We're dealing with a lot of them. We're dealing with about 15 countries, but as you know, we have about 150 plus, and you can't do that. So we're going to be sending letters out in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, to countries, telling them what the deal is, like I did with EU.
And are you happy with the EU right now? You were unhappy with them about 100 days ago.
Well, I'll let you know in about a week. They do want to negotiate, I will say that. Thank you.
Mr. President, we're making the theater great again, aren't we, tonight?
We are, Brian, and I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here. What does it mean to be here tonight? Now this is under your administration. You're bringing class back. The golden era of theater.
We have a golden era here in the country. You see the trade numbers came in today. They're fantastic. The deficit was cut in half over a period of 2 months. We cut what they tried to destroy our country. They were destroying our country. And you saw how good the numbers were. We took in $88 billion in tariffs in 2.5 months. And that we didn't even start yet. No, we're bringing the country back fast. And I'm very proud to have helped Los Angeles survive. Los Angeles right now, if we didn't do what we did, would be burning to the ground. And that's not over yet. You know, these are radical left lunatics that you're dealing with. And they're tough. They're smart. They're probably paid, many of them, as you know. They're professionals. When you see them chopping up concrete, because the bricks got captured, they're chopping up concrete, and they're using that as a weapon. That's pretty bad. And thank you very much for your question.
You're a New Yorker. You've been to a million theaters. Do you remember your first theater production that you attended?
Well, a long time ago. I would say maybe it was Cats.
Cats. First Lady, do you remember your first theater production you saw?
Phantom of the Opera.
Are you a Les Mis fan, Mrs. Trump?
I am.
That was great.
I am.
We're going to bring in a lot of popcorn and Diet Coke tonight while we watch the production.
I think so. I think I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
big military parade is this weekend. Can you share with us your thoughts on the parade coming up? Are you excited? Are you excited
The parade's going to be incredible. It will be a parade like we haven't had in many, many decades here. And it's a celebration of our country. It's a celebration of the Army, actually. You know, the Army was 1 year earlier than the Union itself, than the founding of our country itself. 1 year. And it's going to be a celebration of the Army and the military. It's going to be incredible, I tell you. We have the greatest weapons in the world and the greatest people in the world. It's going to be a big parade.
You guys look amazing tonight. You guys look amazing.
It's going to be great.
Thank you.
Is there a more handsome first couple in the history of our country? I don't think so. Dashing and daring Dapper Don. That is President Donald Trump and our beautiful First Lady gracefully accompanying him to Les Miserables, a story written, a French novel by Victor Hugo in 1862, and explores centering around the protagonist of Jean Valjean. Of course, that reporter asking there, "Sir, are you like Jean Valjean?" And he said, "I have to ask the lovely First Lady. Honey, what do you think about that one?" But this man was unjustly imprisoned for stealing a loaf of bread, and his subsequent journey to redemption. It explores themes of poverty, social injustice, class, love, and the struggle for humanity. Sound familiar? Some of the themes that we're fighting for in 2025 America. No question about that. You can ask some of those J6 prisoners about being unjustly put into prison. In a star-studded event tonight on the red carpet, President Trump, the chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center, and rightfully so. And I love how he answered, "I could care less if any actor is going to boycott tonight," because quite frankly, it would be an honor to be on that stage and perform for the 47th Commander-in-Chief, the Vice President, and members of the cabinet and their respective spouses and partners on this beautiful evening in Washington, D.C. In the meantime, as one of our favorite reporters asked President Trump, "What's your favorite musical?" He mentioned Cats might have been the first one he saw in 1984, and First Lady Melania Trump saying The Phantom of the Opera, and President Trump said, "Ooh," because he's a huge fan and dear friend of composer Andrew Lloyd Webber. So feel free to write now on whatever social media engine you are watching from, whether it's Facebook, X, Instagram, wherever you can type in, what's your favorite musical and what's the first one you saw? I could tell you the first one I was in was The Music Man, and that's a fun, lighthearted story of a gentleman con man who goes from town to town and ends up, maybe finding the love of his life, but an entertaining theme there, not as maybe sad as that of Les Mis, but beautiful music in store tonight. I'm sure a wonderful cast at the Kennedy Center. So great to see President Trump, who will be enjoying a Diet Coke and some other refreshments on this lovely evening in the Federal City, and bringing back that culture, as you heard earlier from the great Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mr. Kennedy, as well as Vice President J.D. Vance. If you look at Greek and Roman culture, so much of what this constitutional republic is built from, they were known for their poetry, their music, their dialogue and discussion, democracy, and the ability to be of disagreeing terms without being disagreeable. And then, in fact, those with a smarter view, perhaps winning outright. And we know what's happened to civilizations if they went against that dialogue. So let's see if we can stand the test of time. No question, 250 years in the making, President Trump fighting for Western civilization and a culture revitalized as the honorable chairman of the board of the Kennedy Center. So we thank our sponsors here on the right side of history. President Trump recently signed that executive order for you, the American people, to scale back on the cost of prescription drugs. Well, one online pharmacy is fighting like no other. It's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Now through June 30th, use code RSBN20 for 20% off your prescription medication, code RSBN20. That's your go-to through June 30th. Scan the QR code now or visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN because they have ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, all the stuff that Big Pharma is saying you can't have, right? That somehow doesn't work. No, it does work. We saw that through the COVID crisis. We've seen it for the past 50 plus years. These life-saving drugs on the market, there and ready for you, also cost effective. What's so great about All Family Pharmacy is that their doctors work around the clock for you, the American people. So God forbid there's a storm or an emergency, they'll get this life-saving medication to your doorstep, whether it's antibiotics, emergency medical kits, or over 200 essential medications for you and yours. Imagine now for a moment, you have an empty medicine cabinet. You're just putting it off because of work or what have you, and your spouse runs out of life-saving blood pressure medication, or your child spikes a terrible fever on a Sunday night and your pharmacy is closed. What are you to do? That's why allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, fighting for you and the American people. God forbid a natural disaster comes through your neck of the woods. Be prepared, because being unprepared is not an option in 2025. So scan that QR code now. Through June 30th, code RSBN20, 20% off. Pay less for your prescriptions at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history as we approach the 7 o'clock hour and a star-studded evening tonight as President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance attend Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center. If you have not seen this show, it is one to see, whether it be on Broadway, your local regional theater, perhaps if you'd like to enjoy Victor Hugo's immortal novel from 1862. Liam Neeson also has a great film version from 1994, or perhaps the more recent version, one of the best musicals ever made for film. Of course, Les Miserables in 2012, with the likes of Hugh Jackman and Anne Hathaway, among other incredible actors with some beautiful voices as well. Perhaps a great way to see just the misery that was the French Revolution. And that's why we dialogue, that's why we debate, that's why we here on RSBN want to bring you this access to your government that you put into place to save civilization, to save Western culture. It's not just about saving the United States of America anymore. It's about saving the world with right-wing populism that invokes common sense, securing borders, protecting currencies, to allowing you access to gold and silver. Oh, and those pesky Bill of Rights that the communist far left really seem to hate, whether it's your freedom of speech or your right to private property or your right to own and bear arms. You are an American citizen. You have those rights. But Governor Newsom, we see him coming to the end of his term, thanks be to God, seems to think that illegals and invaders and those causing troubles on his streets of Los Angeles, California, have more rights than you. For some reason, he believes that waving the Mexican flag while you set businesses on fire and throw rocks and stones and blunt objects at cars, this is not the beast motorcade that has those repellents or the bulletproof glass or anti-bomb technology. These are normal everyday workers. And who does it hurt? It's those hardworking Angelinos, usually from Hispanic or Asian background, who the governor of California can't care less about. He's rather interested more in becoming president of the United States, but God forbid that ever happens, because we know he is a snake. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He might have some nice hair, but quite frankly, he is the worst of the worst, and we just avoided having that evil Kamala Harris. It would be terrible if Gavin ever got into 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Remember when he removed all of the homeless from San Francisco to welcome in Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party along the streets of San Francisco? He decided to clean it up for a moment to entertain communists, but he does not care about American citizens. And we'd love to have him on the show and talk about it, because there is no one who is further from the right side of history, and I don't mean that in an ideological way, I mean that on the correct side of history, than Governor Newsom. But in the meantime, while all this is happening, how can you protect your financial future that you've worked so hard for? It's with Colonial Metals Group. So get that gold and silver, these tangible metals that protect you and the American people by scanning that QR code now or by visiting freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Protect your IRA, your 401k with gold and 100% tax-free silver. Something smart for you to do. Let's go back to 1971 where Nixon went off of the gold standard, really a foolish decision by many historians' perspectives, including my own, but I digress because gold has gone up over 7,000% in wealth and value ever since 1971. It's never gone down. So what does that mean for you as China plays war games with Taiwan, as they attempted to buy up primetime farmland around our military bases and try to intimidate our American culture with Confucius Institutes on our high school and college campuses? Protect yourself with gold and silver. Patriots like Judge Jeanine Pirro, they love this organization. So do we on the right side of history. And I implore you today, protect yourself with tangible gold and silver. The best way to protect your assets in your retirement in 2025. freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Scan that QR code now and be on the right side of history with your finances. Colonial Metals Group, thank you for sponsoring us here at RSBN Prime Time. And as we cover you in the prime time evening, you get that live shot of the red carpet and the beautiful backdrop of the Kennedy Center. I am so excited to see what will go into the revitalization of this beautiful, timeless theater that honors our 35th President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, and his nephew, the great RFK Jr. Bobby Kennedy is in attendance with his lovely wife, the actress Cheryl Hines, who you might remember from Curb Your Enthusiasm, enjoying a night at the theater. There is perhaps nothing better. And I was texting with a colleague of mine that we really would have loved to be there in the moment to enjoy all of the questions, not only of our great leaders there at the White House, but also to enjoy some steak, lobster, perhaps some vino after the great production of Les Miserables. We can go there live if we get any questions and answers from, I'm not sure who that is on the red carpet, but I'm sure many enjoying this beautiful evening as President Trump and Vice President Vance attend Les Mis. It's a great show. If you have not seen it on the stage, it is one for the history books and one for the bucket list if you enjoy live theater, and there's nothing quite like it. And it's something that would be nice to see again as we get out of that post-COVID strife of people getting back into church, people going back to the theater, of course, going to their gyms, going to things that are invigorating for mind, body, and spirit, because that's what the leftists try to take away from us with the summer of love of 2020. And we remember great leaders like Senator Rand Paul and his lovely wife Kelly, after they listened to President Trump on the White House lawn giving his acceptance speech in the 2020 Republican National Convention that was outdoors or via video, because in the height of COVID, we saw communist governors like Jelly Belly Pritzker in Illinois who decided to take a mask off and then go walking with those BLM rioters, saying that social justice mattered more than public safety, after he shut down the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago. You could not go grocery shopping, for goodness sake, let alone to church or the gym, but he had time to lock arm in arm with fellow communists who wanted to destroy the nuclear family, who wanted to shut you down and thought that they could run your lives better than you. Well, those days are over with. We know that they attempted to do that again in Los Angeles, and there's some threats of that come this weekend for the big, beautiful celebration of our Army. 250 years come Saturday, June 14th. We'll be on hand for that incredible celebration with President Trump hosting there as well. So we look forward to that as President Trump enjoys Les Mis with First Lady Melania Trump and the Vice President in attendance with our beautiful Second Lady Usha Trump as well. We'll go there live now, see if there's any dialogue and answers and questions with those on the red carpet. Now, as President Trump enjoys this evening's festivities, America is defeating inflation, and America is beating it by President Trump's leadership in the golden era with lower costs, higher pay, economic opportunity for all. And here's what you need to know from the latest consumer price index. In May, inflation came in lighter than expected for yet another month. Since President Trump took office, inflation has come in below economists' expectations every single month, with core inflation held steady and remains at the lowest level since March of 2021. Under President Trump, core inflation has tracked at just 2% on an annual basis, and levels have not been seen since the first Trump administration, when prices were low and were very stable. So great to see that success here. Ever since AutoPen took over, that was a mistake, but those were a tough 4 years that we endured. Let's toss it there live again on the red carpet.
Like I saw Sound of Music is listed, and that's one of my favorites, so I'll be back for that.
That's a great classic too. You got to tell us your review once,
Yeah,
once you see it.
Okay, Sound of Music, West Side Story, Grease. Okay, so I'm compulsive if any one of those show up, and so I'm just really grateful.
Same.
So keep doing good.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It's great to see you guys.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Enjoy the show.
Hey, thank you.
And as we enjoy the red carpet in Washington, D.C. at the Kennedy Center, wage growth remains strong under President Trump. In May, real wages for production and non-supervisory workers saw the highest monthly increase in nearly a year, rising each month since President Trump took office and up nearly 2% over last year. The average private sector worker is on track to see their real earnings increase by around $1,200 adjusted for inflation. So good to see that taking place, and prices for everyday Americans continue to fall. Energy prices fell by 1% over the last month, down 3.5% over the past year. Gasoline prices have fallen each month since President Trump took office, down 2.6% over the past month and down 12% over the prices of the past year. So prices in key areas such as meats, poultry, eggs, airfares, used and new cars, and apparel all went down over the past month. Here's what some of them are saying, including friends in the press. We got another month of positive inflation news, and this is CNN of all places. Despite the historic tariffs, the latest numbers do show that inflation remained relatively tame in May. This was better than expected, and we did see a drop in energy prices. In particular, gas prices were low. There's also no way to look at these numbers and say they're not welcome news. This according to CNBC. Also from CNBC, not only did we get a decline in inflation expectations earlier this week from the important New York Fed report, I do not see broader impacts on inflation from the tariffs, and also from CNBC. Inflation certainly looks like it's cooling. From Fox Business, that is much better than expected. And also, now we're talking about numbers that are down in the low twos, under 2.5%. And we're seeing that now for 3 months in a row. So this is, quite frankly, wonderful news for the American economy, for the American people, as President Trump enjoys the largest tax cut in history for working and middle class Americans. Even the demon rats admit that the tax policies in the One Big Beautiful Bill are needed and popular, but they will still oppose the bill. It's really, quite frankly, amazing how none of them will break away from their leadership and their ranks. To be clear, that means they are opposing the largest tax cut in history for working and middle class Americans. It's a 15% tax cut for Americans making between $30,000 to $80,000 per year. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, as promised by President Trump back in 2024 on the campaign trail in Tucson, Arizona. Boosting the child tax credit to $2,500 for 40 million Americans and their families in this amazing process. Historic tax cuts for seniors, as well as no tax on car loan interest for American-made vehicles. So an amazing time to be in the good old US of A. Also preserving the double standard for deductions for the 91% of taxpayers. Let's go there live now for some questions and answers on the red carpet.
Well, Les Miserables is a very important piece of our heritage, Victor Hugo, and so I was glad to be invited and to share that moment with our American friends.
All right. And, could you talk about the cultural ties, the connections with the United States and France, and where we are today?
Well, as you know, we are the oldest ally with the Treaty of 1778, and there is a lot of cross-reference between France and the US. A lot of Americans have been enjoying the French way of life in Paris, especially after the First World War, and the Impressionists were also recognized first in the US, and there is a lot of dynamism in cultural exchanges. We used to be the capital of the art until World War II. It has been moving to New York, and there is always a lot of exchanges between the two sides of the bones.
What are some of the goals that you have to work on with the Trump administration?
Well, we are at a moment where we have to minimize divergences and maximize convergences, because we have some nuances in some aspects. We are a strong supporter of the Ukrainian fight for their freedom and democracy, and you know also that we may have some issues on tariff, but I think that with some goodwill we should make the maximum of the positive energy and for the best of the world.
Okay, so you think a deal could be reached with the EU and avoiding price hikes for everyone?
Well, it will be good for consumers if we avoid tariffs that are going to harm both of our citizens. And so there is a lot of discussions going on. I hope it will be successful.
Okay. I know that Iran is in the headlines and tensions in the Middle East. How does that affect you all in France?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue. We are the host of the largest Jewish community in Europe. We have also a very important community of Muslim faith. And the excesses that we have seen recently, of course, I should have started by strong condemnation on 7th of October attacks, but also the starvation that we see in Gaza is putting a lot of emotion, and so we want really that we look forward for, and we are advocating for the two-state solution, for lasting peace, and for the two countries living side by side in peace. And because security in Israel is very important for us. That's where we are. We are working on it. We are exchanging a lot with our American friends. And we are going to have next week an important conference in New York with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We'll see. It's challenging time.
Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Vance?
It's a real pleasure to be in the US for me because as a young student I was traveling when I was 20 years old, and to be back as ambassador is kind of my dream job, so very happy to share that moment with our American friends.
Glad to have you here. Thank you so much. It was great speaking with you. Enjoy the show. Take care.
And that was the French ambassador to the United States, Laurent Billy, who is sure to enjoy Les Mis tonight, just spectating on or commenting on how great the show is in and of itself. As we break down the one big beautiful bill and why it should be passed, there is no tax on car loan interest for American-made cars. Another great addition as we thank our sponsors here on the right side of history, angelpaste.com. Discover the miracle that is this beautiful angel paste. And before we do that, we're actually going to toss live there and see if there's any more answers and questions on the red carpet.
Wait a minute.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, you too. Yes. Grazie, Nick. Grazie, Nick.
Thank you. You have your computer out? Yes. You want to read it? Sure.
Get you two in then.
He must want you to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Nick's a professional. Don't hide, Ted. Don't hide.
Nick, I'm going to get this one too.
Yes, your tactics.
Okay, yes, 17.
Oh, now we're looking. No, that's perfect. We got all you guys. Okay, stand here.
Plug your phone.
That's great, right there. Thank you. Great, thank you. Thanks. Microphone? Sure.
It would have been way better, but
thank you.
Ready?
yeah, get to the microphone, please, sir.
I think you got a couple minutes, unless you're in a hurry. No, it's okay. I found her round.
And thank you for joining us tonight in RSBN Prime Time as President Trump and Vice President Vance, along with our lovely First Lady and Second Lady and cabinet members and their spouses and partners, attend Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center on a beautiful night in Washington, D.C. Tomorrow night, we debut The Voice of Reason. It's politics, it's punchlines, it's common sense, and it's a new face for the new media. Join yours truly every 6 o'clock in the evening on Thursday evenings starting tomorrow, June 12th. We're excited to bring out a presidential series among other in-depth interviews touching on music, culture, common sense, and your government, all for you, the great American people. So be sure to tune into The Voice of Reason, starring yours truly, tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. For all America First updates and exclusive offers, go to rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. And thank you again to our sponsors tonight, angelpaste.com. Experience the miracle today with their vitamin B miracle cream, their natural mosquito repellent, and so many other options. This Christian-loving, U.S. Army-loving, and veteran hiring company, they're based out of Spring, Texas, off the Gulf of America. So they have a couple of wonderful options for you. The orange immunity option filled with vitamin C, non-GMO, no chemicals. It's a great go-to. Also a facial spray you can use before you visit your favorite musical to paint the town red. Experience the miracle today at angelpaste.com. And we are so thrilled that you are here with us on the right side of history as your go-to live desk. We cover it all. Those press conferences, those speeches, and hey, a night out at the theater for one of Victor Hugo's immortal stories, Les Miserables, written in 1862, a novel that would turn into a wonderful play and great musical that has been recreated countless times on the big screen and on the shiny, star-lit way of Broadway, and also at the Kennedy Center as it is being presented tonight. Well, have a lovely evening. If there's any breaking news, we'll be right here with you on the right side of history. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night. For all of my colleagues at Right Side Broadcasting Network live in the prime time, I'm Robert McNeely. Good night. God bless.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.